So first of all, good afternoon and a warm welcome to everyone. This is the SCS Career Mentoring event. This is our fourth event, I believe. We have a very special guest speaker today. He is Lim Wai Mun. We will give him a more detailed introduction soon. Okay, but let me start by letting you know that this event is actually recorded. Okay, so we just wanted you to take note of it. The next slide now. So just a very brief introduction to the mentoring committee first. If you have attended our previous events, you know that we have a mentoring committee in SCS. We also invite other mentors into this panel to help out in each of our sessions. So let me start by introducing myself. My name is Yin Ching, and I'm the Group Chief Digital Officer of ComfortDelGro Corp. I am responsible for all technology-related initiatives across the group. We also have Chia Sok Hoon. Sok Hoon's camera is not on. I'm not sure it's on. Sok Hoon is responsible for the Microsoft business in emerging markets. She has extensive experience in leading business across corporate and SMEs, as well as building partner ecosystems across Asia Pacific. Next, we have Eugene. Eugene is in commercial territory sales, and he's at the Amazon Web Services. He helps businesses in Singapore leverage and innovate using cloud technology. So he is in the latest technology now. He is also passionate about helping others and helping others find an interest in IT and technology. We have Derek Liu. He is the country manager of CyberArk Singapore, and he is responsible for developing and executing business strategies in Singapore, for Singapore. We have Randy Tan. Randy he calls himself a payment specialist, okay? He has a lot of experience across financial and payment processing. The best guy to talk to for payment. He is actively involved in mentoring as well. He finds a lot of joy in providing guidance, advice, and mentorship to individuals and companies alike, sharing his experience and his journey in entrepreneurship. We have Susan. Susan is responsible for the Orange Business Services in ASEAN. She's responsible, of course, for business growth and also for customer satisfaction. Now, we have two special guests, guest mentors who join us today. So I would like to introduce Jay. Jay is the founder and CEO of Science Group in business technology consulting and specializing in banking, insurance industries. He is also into technology talent management across all these industries. Nicholas is a young entrepreneur, skilled software developer. He started his own IT consultancy firm right after graduating from IT long ago in 2008. So he has come a long way. He has earned numerous degrees and awards since, including being a member of the, I hope I pronounced this right, Ashoka's Change Management Exchange. And this features the world's top young social innovators. So today we are very lucky to have this wonderful panel of mentors. Okay, and we hope that you will all take advantage of this and have a great session with them. First of all, thanks, Lily. First of all, let's hear from a founder and CEO of Dr. Anywhere. Okay, is Lim Wai Mun. Okay, we are very lucky to be able to get some time from Wai Mun in this busy pandemic times to share some of the lessons in building and running such a regional and I would call health tech startup. Okay, so it's a great concept for us now. So let's hear from Wai Mun first. I will let Randy introduce him properly. Okay, then we'll take a break and then we do our group mentoring sessions. Okay, yeah. Okay, Randy, over to you.
Thank you, Yin Chin.
Do the honors.
Thank you. So guys, I'll keep it short. I know Wai Mun for a while. Both of us, we have quite similar background. Went to corporate world, didn't like it, came out, set our own business. I set up much earlier than him, but it's not as successful as him. He set up, I think, the past 3 years or so, plus minus, I'm not sure. And he has since grown Dr. Anywhere to be a very big company. I think many of you all might have heard of him and the company DA, Dr. Anywhere. And since day one until now, he has raised more than 100 million. And I genuinely have no doubt that he's going to be the next unicorn. I really mean it. So, Wai Mun, over to you. And yeah, take us away. Thanks.
Thanks, Randy, and thanks, Yin Cheng, for introducing me. So first thing, small group. So guys, if you have any questions, just please do not hesitate to unmute yourself and just ask questions. Okay, very, very affordable. You know, and I love small settings, right? Very cozy. You can ask real questions. When Yin Cheng first mentioned about Nicholas and say that he graduated a long time ago in 2008. It made me feel very old as well. I graduated from NUS Mechanical Engineering 2007, right? So it has been a while already, but I didn't realize it, right? Because every day has been a grind. And also to stand corrected on what Randy mentioned, that we have a very similar background, is to the extent that we are both male, Singaporean, contributing to the better of Singapore society. But he is definitely, cashed out of his company already. I haven't yet. I'm still in the woods grinding to be as successful as Randy. I always tell Randy when I meet him for lunch, right? I said that when I grow up, I want to be just like you, Randy, right? Because that's what I really mean as well. Now, and just to introduce ourselves, right? Maybe let me just do some screen sharing. Okay. All right. You can see, right? Can you see? Okay, good. All right. So my name is Wai Mun. I'm the founder and CEO of Dr. Anywhere. Like I mentioned earlier on, graduated 2007, mechanical engineering. At the very least, I always feel that I have betrayed the engineering fraternity because I've never once in my life was an engineer, right? When I first graduated, my first job was into Stanchart, doing investments for them into real estate. And about 3.5 years later, I left Stanchart to join a local company called Temasek to do oil and gas investments. So this is really my first time doing a startup, so-called, and this is really my first time operating a company, my first time in healthcare. So I always tell people that the biggest honor I have in doing what I'm doing is that I'm really learning something new every day, really, right? Because operating a company is really not that easy. And to me, when I look back, about DA, right, or Dr. Anywhere, we were, so just by background, we were started in August 2017. Right, so we have been operating for about 4.5 years coming to, and I really think that we are just at the tip of the iceberg so far, right? Because healthcare is a very just when you just look at across the entire spectrum of the various major industry in the whole world, right? That means banking, finance, energy, and healthcare being one of them, right? Healthcare is the second least disrupted major industry in the whole world. The least disrupted being the aviation industry, right? And why? Because it's extremely highly regulated, right? And healthcare is also very regulated. At the same time, it is also very localized, right? One size really doesn't fit all for healthcare. So what I want to really share about today is some of the lessons that I have come across, learned, good way, bad way. Sometimes I got lucky, right? But definitely something to share with all of you guys, and hopefully through reading my history, you avoid my pitfall, right? And you make something good out of it. But don't come into my space anymore, yeah, guys. It's too crowded already. Yeah, okay, no point, right? I have a lot of white hair. I'm glad I still have hair, but I really have a lot of white hair now, so it's not a good place, okay, to start off. Now, DA, right? What was the vision when we first started off? And maybe let me share a little bit about when it was started off, what we were trying to achieve, right? It was really in 2007 earlier part that I was thinking like, hey, you know, because at Temasek we needed to do charity work, and one of the charity work that I did was. By the way, it's not that we were all kind-hearted, right? It's really because our bonus is also tied to doing charity work, okay? But after a while, to be fair, people, that got the engine going and people really started doing charity work. But what I'm trying to say is that I don't want to be hypocritical about it and say, oh, you know, it's being charitable or whatsoever. Nothing of that sort, right? I'm just saying that this idea was born from the activity that I took part in. And it was around kind of a going door to door, distribute lunch boxes, and that's when I realized that, hey, actually it's quite interesting, right? We still, in Singapore, such a developed market, we still have people who kind of couldn't get access to basic healthcare, and to me that was kind of sad in a sense, right? And when I came out with that, with the initial app, it was doing house call. That means sending a doctor to a beneficiary. But obviously that didn't work because doctor didn't really want to do it. Then that kind of pivoted into video call, and still no doctor wanted to help me. And I said, you know, since I have something left, you know, might as well I just make use of it, right? And try to turn it commercial, right? And that was the start of it. And the vision for us is to really build a connected healthcare ecosystem, right, that brings high quality, accessible, and affordable care to everyone. I would say that in this three main criteria of high quality, accessible, and affordable, right, they are all in a way quite contradictory, right? Because when you have affordable, it might not mean high quality, right? And accessibility also kind of then contradict on high quality as well. And I'm talking about the old healthcare system, right? Because in a new healthcare system, what we're trying to really do, right, is to use what we have, this connected system, to enhance the healthcare system, to be able to use tech to set up that whole virtual clinic environment, and as well as use tech to enable offline clinic to bring them to go online. And because not all the medical issues can be solved online, we also have to, you know, send them offline, right? So that's really, you know, what we're trying to do, right? Which is to create that whole omni-channel accessibility to our user and offer that back to them, right? And taking into account, you know, when every time they interact with us, we get to know our users a bit better, and we start to be able to guesstimate what our users want, and that is what we think will be a holy grail for us in the next couple of years. Now, so we started off in the primary care space, so doing video consult online, but eventually we really expanded our services along the way. We went offline, we then created a network. So today across Southeast Asia, so we operate in Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, and we are going to Indonesia. But just in the 5 countries, right, excluding Indonesia, we already have about 3,000 to 4,000 clinics, hospitals working with us as our network to bring them online, right? At the same time, we also are in the specialist care space. So if you see our GP doctor or a pharmacist, if you need referral, then we'll refer you into our secondary care network, where you have all the specialists, right? So your orthopedics, your cardiologists, ENT, so on and so forth, right? Where they will be able to go deeper into the subject matter. And eventually, if you do need surgery, the doctors will then send you into tertiary care, which is hospital. One of our shareholders is IHH. IHH is also Parkway, right? And they make a great partner for us in terms of working with them to send patients to also their infrastructure, right? Eventually, then there's also a step-down care whereby we send nurses, phlebotomists to our users' home to do blood tests, to do vaccination, and sometimes to also do wound dressings and so forth, right? And We believe a lot in wellness, and hence using our marketplace, we are also able to offer preventive intervention care. We allow people to buy healthy snacks, food, so on and so forth. I mentioned a little bit about the number of hospitals and so forth and doctors, right? So in terms of users, we have about 2.5 million users. So we define 2.5 million users as something which probably means that when we say that we want to send out an email, EDM, for example, it will reach 2.5 million users across Southeast Asia, right? Our company size today, I think the number is a bit outdated. We have about 530 people right now across Southeast Asia. And I also mentioned that across GP specialists and so forth, we have more than 3,000. We work with more than I think more than 1,000 by now already. Key corporate accounts, and we are partnering with many hospitals in this whole region. Now, talking about challenges just now, right? I would say that when we first started off, and some of you, I do hope that in this whole forum, some of you would also want to at some point in time try something new, right? And when the moment you want to try something new, the truth is that the world is not made equal, right? And there are people who want to tell you that this one confirm cannot one, that one confirm cannot one, right? Don't be so stupid, right? If it's so easy, people will do it, right? So I'm telling you that all this were some of the advice, and sometimes a lot of them are well-meaning, by the way, right? Some of them they're our friends, our family, they are very well-meaning, right? But when you start to hear all these problems from people, so on and so forth, right? That is also when you find opportunities, and this is really what I learned. When we first started off DA to go commercial, right? I went door to door to talk to doctors, and I said, hey, if you don't mind, can you be on our platform to see patients and so forth, right? I would tell you that there were just countless number of times that they actually slammed their door in my face, literally and figuratively, people, right? They always tell me that, Wai Mun, this is the stupidest thing you can ever do in Singapore, right? Why? Because, and one of them I remember, they dragged me out into the open space and you say, look at the HDB, right, around me. These are all my customers. Why would they want to go onto your stupid app? They will just come down and see me, right? Your app, whatever that you're trying to find a solution for, there is no problem at all, right? But in my mind, I think, oh, if it's really, if what he said is true, then why would there still be like Foodpanda, Deliveroo, so on and so forth, right? And I was like, maybe his assumption is not correct, right? And that's how I kind of push on, right? Now, at first, when we were trying to find solutions for the problem, you actually would only be creating a product. But make no mistake, okay? Having a good product doesn't mean that you have a company or you have a business, okay? So you have a good product, maybe, but you might not, if you don't know how to structure it in a way that it becomes a business, then you do not have a business. And if you do not have a business, you do not have a company, okay? And if you think about it, who creates the product? It's actually the people, okay? So let me repeat, right? The people creates the product. The product can become a business opportunity, and with enough business opportunities going to the company, then you have a company. And when you trace everything back, it's actually really about people, right? And that's something that I learned a lot, right? When I was in Temasek, when I was in Stanchart, I was an analyst, so I didn't manage anybody. When I was in Temasek, the maximum people that I kind of managed, right, in my team were 2%, right? And overnight, when I started to expand the team, I realized that, wow, more and more people added. And to be frank, it really wasn't easy, right? Because when the team becomes bigger and bigger, you start to have a lot of people with conflicts. You start to have a lot of people with different agenda. You have very, very good people sometimes, but you also have very, very greedy people, right? And as a leader, and I can look back now and tell you something, right? Which is that after I raised my Series B, I remember, right? Partly because of my mismanagement of people, right? My entire my leadership all left, right? Maybe I would say 70% of them left, right? And it was just left with me and 30% of my leaders, right? And I got lucky because I managed to find very good HR leaders to come in to help me rebuild the team, right? And after rebuilding and then went through scale up to the current state. When I look back, really, when you want to think about doing a startup, when you want to think about creating something, right, that you might think of, always remember that it goes down to people. No matter how good your product is, at the end of it, your app or whatever, they're all created by human beings, and do not ever forget that part of it. Okay, and that leads me to also talk about this, right, which is what makes a good entrepreneur, right? And when I look back, right, I really feel that a good entrepreneur, figuratively, right, and literally as well, right, especially in healthcare, when I look at it, right, I relate it to our body. You need to have a good mouth, a good heart, and a good stomach. Okay, and let me explain, right? Now, a good mouth, really be able to share the vision, convince people, your investors, your business partners, your own employees, so on and so forth, right? They need to be able to understand, hey, where are we going together, right? What are we really trying to achieve? And only somebody with that, be able to share the vision clearly, right? You can then bring everything together to one direction to achieve certain objectives, right? Now, you need to have a good heart, right? Because when you have a good heart, chances are that you will be able to empathize, right? Because sometimes like I said, right, when it all boils back down to people, managing people, being leaders, right? You need to have a high level of empathy, right? Because not everything, when it comes to dealing with people, not everything is black and white, right? Sometimes there are gray area, and sometimes you just have to listen to your heart and say, what should I do, right? And that will bring you to a solution as well, right? And obviously, having a good stomach, you have to trust your gut. Sometimes it's really not about how smart you are, really, right? It's about what you feel about certain things. That ability to take that, to have a good feeling or bad feeling, and to do it or not to do it, to avoid calamities or not. Sometimes it's a lot of gut feel as well, right? And hence having that good gut feel about certain things is very, very important. Right? Now, never have I then ever said that you need to have a good brain, right? Because the truth is that being an entrepreneur, you don't really need a good brain. You don't need to be smart. You don't need to be smart, trust me, right? But with a good mouth and a good heart, you will be able to attract talent into a team. And with that talent and people who really share your vision and people who really will follow you because you are a very empathetic person, right? You're a very good leader. And that, don't forget that when you have more and more good talent into the team, that essentially become your brain. That essentially become your brain, right? Because you yourself, one person, you are never scalable. But with a team of 10 leaders on your bench, right, that you work with, right? They are the one who enable you to be scalable. They are the one who create that product for you. They are the one who create that business opportunity for you. And eventually, they are the one who create the whole company for you, right? And let's just put it this way, right? A lot of people say, well, you need a lot of a high level of luck to be an entrepreneur. I agree. I actually agree that you need a high level of luck to be an entrepreneur. But let's just put it this way. By hiring better and better people, you are also increasing your own luck or your chances of success, right? And being able to recruit good people onto the team. You don't need to be smart, by the way. You don't need to be smart, because in fact, sometimes beyond a certain point, right, people don't want to be with a leader who's too smart. People rather be with a leader that they can believe, right? And that is way, way, way more important. So I think this is a very appropriate way to look at it, right? The best way to predict the future is to create it, right? And it got to do with a lot to do with action, right? Some of you all might think about certain things and want to do it, don't do it, how the future look like, so on and so forth. And I feel that looking back, it wasn't that easy a decision to say drop everything to start a company, right? But after discussion with my family, who's supportive, and even then, when I look at my paycheck, to be honest, right, it's a bit difficult to suddenly no longer have the type of pay that you see on a monthly basis, right? But I also ask myself, right, what do I really want to do in life? And when I decided, I just act on it. And then, the journey just somehow you force yourself to start walking, right? So I hope that, that's the end of my presentation, right? I hope that, you learn a little bit from through my lessons, right? Again, I would say that I'm not the most perfect, right? For sure. But in a way, I hope that all of you can see some of the things that we did, avoid some of the pitfalls, right? And make sure that if you want to do anything, right, make sure that you always put your people at first. Okay, so Randy, back to you. I think I finished my presentation, but before that, anybody has any questions that you want to ask me?
Well, first of all, thank you, Wai Mun, for your open sharing. I think it's really good to hear your journey and thinking through and your perspective of what it takes to actually start your own business. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I'm sure there are a lot of questions from the audience. There are 2 questions in the chat, so maybe I kickstart with that first. So
Okay.
Nicholas Ling asked, so he said, thank you for being so generous in your sharing. Beyond the first tele call, how else is DA bringing healthcare costs down? Since DA partner the rest of the medical players, already, I assume they have their own market rate, right? Specialists will still charge 100 for a 10-minute consultation. So I guess Nicholas is asking, how do you bring the healthcare costs down?
Just to answer the last part, right? Actually, since you know that this guy, Nicholas, thank you for asking this question. It seems like you do have some experience in this space. That's why if you go onto our app, right, our specialists charge $38, right, and not $100. And you're correct, right? That's some of the rate of a specialist, right? But so how are we able to bring the cost down, right? Let's go back to the question. If you look at healthcare, there are a few components of the cost structure, right? So you have the cost of the service, which is the doctor. You have the cost of the medication / surgery, operations, or whatever. And then you also have the cost of logistics. So logistics can be delivery, in our case, or it can be renting of a clinic space, for example, right? I will categorize that under logistics, right? Now, for a typical brick and mortar, right? There are certain things in a single one-man op, right? It's very unlikely you are able to bring your cost down for medication because you don't buy in that amount. And you also do not buy, you also unlikely to be able to negotiate on your rental, right? Because you become a price taker. Okay, now for us, when we first started off, it was obviously we had to make some losses, right? Because we were trying to offer something that hopefully if we do more and more, we will scale down, right? But ultimately, where we are today, we have managed to achieve what we promised our shareholder, right? Now, going back to the cost structure, when we have enough tech enablement, we are now able to get our doctors to make prescription much faster. right? So think about it, right? When you go into a consult, some of you might have used my service before, I'm not sure, right? But when you go into a consult, actually before that, the doctor needs to read the note about what you really want, right? And also your medical history and so forth. Our system is able to summarize for our doctors, so they can now go into a call very quickly knowing what you want already. And the consult time remain about the same, right? Probably about 3 to 4 minutes per consult on average. And last time our doctor used to take about 12 minutes, 15 minutes to do prescription, but now they take 30 seconds for to 1 minute, right? So when I'm able to use tech to squeeze down their time, right, to kind of focus on just doctoring, right, your summary of notes prescription becomes much shorter, which means that my doctor are now able to do more work in an hour, which also means that they are acceptable to a lower per case that I pay them, right? And that's exactly what happened, right? Initially we pay them X, now we pay them 0.5X, right? Why? Because they are, even when we pay them 0.5X right now, they are still earning more than previously without our tech enhancements. So that part is then corrected. The other one is about the cost of medication, right? Because today we bulk buy all this medication on our platform, and we are able to negotiate with the pharma company. So today our cost element of a drug becomes lower. And also as we do more and more cases, right? Today in Singapore alone, right, we probably deliver about 2,000 parcels of medication a day, right? And with that level of activity on our platform, right, we are also able to better optimize our system, right, and again lower the cost of delivery in logistics piece, right. So with these 3 pieces of cost structure that we are now able to lower it, that's the reason why we are able to bring that affordable healthcare to our users in that sense, right. I hope that I answered the question.
Oh, actually, it's very enlightening. We have Arun. Arun, you have a question? Arun?
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me?
Hey,
Yes.
Arun. Yes.
Yeah, hi. Wonderful hearing from you, Wai Mun, for sharing the journey. Quite inspiring. Yeah, I had 2 questions. Primarily, one, just wanted to get your take in terms of the differences that you see, let's say, the US market compared to the ASEAN region. And secondly, how do you see differentiation in this space? If you look at a company like Teladoc, for example, versus what are the levers in terms of differentiation in this space?
That's a great question, Arun. So I think I mentioned earlier part of the presentation that healthcare is something that is very localized, right? So being successful in one country doesn't mean that you're successful in another, right? Especially so when you talk about Teladoc, right? Teladoc, for the rest of us who might have less knowledge in this space, Teladoc is basically the leader in our category, right? They are listed in the US. They are about, I think, if I'm not wrong, about $15 to $20 billion market cap company, and started from US, right? And they are expanding globally. At some point, I think right now they started already in Southeast Asia. But really, because healthcare is very, very localized, right? We know that they have been in Southeast Asia for, I think, coming to 3-4 years already, right? We still don't see much activities coming up from them, right? Now, why is it so, right? When I look back, when I look at them, I look at us, right? Especially from a Southeast Asian standpoint. When you are not Southeast Asian and when you try to look from outside in, it's actually quite scary, right? You think about it, right? How many countries do we have in Southeast Asia? And although we are all close together, right? But because there are just so many countries, you have different regulation, you have a different way of looking at things, you have different practice, you have different culture, right? Especially in healthcare, right? You have different culture, healthcare culture. I'll give you an example, right? In Singapore, all of us are familiar with the concept of GP doctors, right? General practitioner, right? So you go to a GP clinic to see a cough, cold, flu. In Vietnam, in Thailand, in Philippines, right, and to a good extent in Malaysia, right, and definitely so for Indonesia, right. People don't really go to a GP clinic. The concept of GP clinic is very, very weak. Why? Because primary care happens at the pharmacy, right? And if anything more serious, they actually go directly to a hospital to see a medical specialist, right? But only because we operate in this part of the world, right, we are able to understand that, hey, you know, there is there is this difference, right? And we are able to, although have a very uniform platform, right, we are able to make local tweaks because we understand the local requirement, and then we are able to at least cater to some of the demands that they want. Okay, Arun, I hope I answered your question.
Definitely. Thanks for that.
Cool.
Oh, okay. Anybody else has a question for Wai Mun? There's a question in here from Adit. He asked, do the bulk buying of medicine means you have to deal with a lot of regulations?
No. Bulk buying basically just means that, you know, how many bottles of cough syrup can you buy at one go, right? You know, and obviously, if you are one clinic, for example, right, maybe you buy on a monthly basis, say, I don't know, 300 bottles of cough syrup or 500, right? But today, at our volume today that we are running in Singapore, just Singapore alone, right? Let me be clear. Our volume is equivalent to, say, about 50 GP clinics in Singapore. That's our volume, right? And when we do 500 multiplied by 50, right, that is the bulk that we're talking about on a monthly basis. So I'm just giving you that 500 is not something that is real, right? I'm just giving you an example.
Okay.
So that's nothing to do with regulations.
Okay, I hope that answers Adit's query. Anybody else has a question? Actually, I'm just wondering myself, right? You know, with all this investment flowing into DA, are you hiring?
Oh, wow. For sure.
And what are you looking for? What talent are you looking for?
Many. Many, right? Whatever you want, right? We're hiring doctors, nurses, lobotomists, programmers, commercial people, operations. Yeah, you know, if you think that you want to start a journey with us, right? You go to our website. We have a lot of job opportunities.
Okay, good. That's for everyone's information. You know who to look up. There's one last question that we can take here is, I think, was there a point where, this is from Nicholas Ling again, was there a point you wanted to give up, and what kept you going? Hey, Nicholas, show your face, Nicholas.
Has there be a point that I want to give up? I want to give up every day. Even right now, I'll give up already. And this is something that I would say Randy, right, we feel a lot for today, right? Maybe just if I may just introduce a little bit of background, right? Randy started a company, sold the company away partially, right? And the question is, I always ask Randy is that, hey, why are you not, you know, sipping pina colada at some beach in Hawaii, right? But I think we both see things a very similar way, which is that beyond certain point, it's not about you anymore. It's not about whether you have benefited from it individually, whether you want to give up, or it's never about you anymore. Never. Why? Because I have 530 people believing in my bullshit, right? And the show has to carry on, right? And you cannot just say that, oh, you know, because it's tough and I want to give up, and then you let down all these people, right? 530 people multiplied by, on average, they have a spouse and maybe they have one kid. You have more than 1,000 people waiting for you to bring food back. Okay, depending on your decision making, for the better or for the worse. Okay, and hence the truth is that I won't lie to you. Every day for me is a new problem. Every day is a fresh set of problem. I always tell this to my leaders, right? When maybe just 1 year plus ago, 2 years ago, right, I couldn't sleep well at night because my problem was just maybe 5 to 10, right? And I sometimes I think very deep in the problem, and then that kept my mind going, and I cannot sleep at night. But these days I sleep very well. Why? Because my problems are in the tens and the hundreds and the thousands, right? And I can't remember any of them. So when I go back to sleep at night, it was very easy, right? I just, okay, switch on my mind, whatever, right? The world ended for that moment, and I just go to sleep with it, right? So that's a good news, right? Now, does it mean that I give up? No, because maybe I'll put it this way, right? Whatever that we do in life, same shit, different day. Yeah.
Very good, very good, very good. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Let me thank you on behalf of everyone for this great sharing, Wai Mun. It's been very interesting. We
Thank
are.
you, everyone. It's my honor, right, to be able to talk to all of you. I'm very glad that at least some of you are asking questions. Some of you are also not that enthusiastic in the sense in unmuting and talking right now, right? But it's okay, right? If you have any questions, right, do reach out, right? I'm on LinkedIn as well, right? If you can go search for my name, you add me, and also if you need to talk about how you want to start a journey with us, absolutely, right? Do just ping me on LinkedIn, and then we can connect.
Great. That's really useful. Thank you so much.